What if I told you what we call the flu season isn't even a season at all? All it is an endemic of the influenza virus that can come into full throttle at any point of the year, but tends to occur during the colder months in the winter season simply because of a series of variables that can be explained by 4 major theories. The first is the togetherness theory, which explains that since the virus is spread through your eyes, your nose, and your mouth, when it's cold outside and you're spending a lot of time indoors, you're surrounded by a lot of people, there's poor air circulation, and the chances are pretty high that you are going to encounter someone who coughs or sneezes, touches their eye, blows their nose, does any number of the above, and then you're breathing in someone's contagious air, potentially contagious air. The next is the dark cold theory, which says that since we lack a lot of sun, since we're not spending time outdoors, we are missing out on major vitamin D. And that, coupled with the cold of winter, causes such a stress to our bodies and weakens our immune systems overall that we are susceptible to any virus, not just limited to influenza. The third is the cold virus theory, which talks about how the virus thrives in a dry, cold environment and gets deactivated in a humid, hot climate, which is why you will not see nearly as many people sick with the flu during the warmer months as you will during the colder. And lastly, we have the diet theory, and this is talking about the lack of healthy food choices made during the holiday season. Now, I don't know how many of you out there are making healthy food choices throughout the year, and if you are, I commend your self-control because I don't have it. But while indulging is totally okay, a lot of sugar is not good for you. Sugar feeds bacteria, yeast, and some viruses. So in this case, even if it wasn't feeding influenza virus directly, having other infections going on or pre-existing in your body is going to weaken your immune system and make you more susceptible to all infections. Almost 50,000 Americans lose their lives to the flu every single year. And as we age, the effects of the flu become more and more devastating, while on the flip side, the effects of the vaccine become weaker and weaker with age as well. The flu shot is so widely promoted this time of year, and it's always met with so much skepticism, especially when recipients of the vaccine find themselves falling ill with the flu anyways. But what people need to understand is getting the flu shot does not guarantee protection against infection. The efficacy of the flu vaccine varies over time because the virus itself varies over time, largely due to antigenic drift and shift. Antigenic drift is a phenomenon that refers to the natural mutations of the genetic makeup of the influenza virus that occur over time. And this affects all strains of influenza. There's influenza A, B, and C. Meanwhile, antigenic shift refers to the total reorganization of surface markers of the vaccine. So if you imagine the vaccine to look like a little golf ball, and imagine there's tiny little flags on the outside surface of the golf ball, imagine how many different variations of that surface organization of flags you could make, and what difference that would make to the appearance of the golf ball, or in our case, the virus. But antigenic shift only occurs in influenza A, and that is because influenza A affects not only humans, but also other mammals and birds. So if you remember H1N1 from 2009, when all of a sudden this virus that was normally confined to infecting birds and swine, all of a sudden became pathogenic to humans, that was because of antigenic shift. What happens is, because the virus can be transferred between animals and humans, just like it can between humans and humans, that reorganization happened, and all of a sudden humankind was met with this virus that it had never seen before, so it had no immunity to it, and we had no vaccine to it. And this can be so dangerous and very easily turn into a pandemic. Every year or every few years, scientists work so hard to try and anticipate through research which virus strains are going to be prevalent in that country or community, and they develop a vaccine for those viral strains specifically. Now, this is how the vaccination process works if you're not familiar with it. Essentially, the vaccine actually contains the virus. So you're getting influenza, you're getting infected, but the virus is inactivated or weakened. Now, a weakened or inactivated virus is not going to cause a full-blown reaction in your body. But you want to create a reaction in your body so that your body can build a defense mechanism to that foreign invader or the virus. So let's break it down a little bit. The virus, or any foreign invader, the virus in our case today, is recognized as an antigen in our body. So that is the thing that should not be there. It's the foreign invader, like I said. So your body and your immune system recognizes it as something that's wrong and something that needs to be fought off and gotten rid of. To do that, the body not only kills those cells, those antigens, but it develops antibodies, which is the opposite of an antigen, in order to fight that antigen anytime it appears in the future. So the first time you get infected, your reaction is always going to be the worst, but in all subsequent reactions, generally the response from your body is going to be better and better, and you're not going to get as sick because your body already has been through it. It knows exactly how to tackle this antigen. So since the virus is inactivated or weakened, because we don't actually want to give you a full-blown flu, the vaccine is also packed with fillers. Now, these fillers are generally benign things, but they cause an inflammatory reaction in your body because obviously they're foreign, they're not actually innate, they're not from your own body, and your immune system is going to recognize those as being foreign invaders also. So when the immune system and all your immune system cells show up to the site of infection and they see those fillers and the virus, they're going to create antibodies to both of those things and fight them off. So at the end of the day, when you actually get sick from the flu that you get from the community or wherever, your body is going to have antibodies in place in order to destroy it immediately because it already knows what works and what the essentially turn off key is for the virus. So my overarching point is this. A, scientific prediction methods are not 100% reliable. We do our best, but there is chance for error, and of course there's going to be outliers. The vaccine for the year is going to be as applicable and specific as possible, but there's always a chance that there's a different strain that isn't included in the vaccine that happens to end up afflicting you. And B, even if you do get the vaccine and it does cover the virus that you get sick with, your body's still going to have a reaction. It's just going to know how to fight the virus a little bit faster. So you're still gonna get sick, just not for as long, and your symptoms are not going to be as bad, and ideally, the end result will not be as devastating. So yeah, the flu vaccine is not 100% reliable. You can still get sick, but luckily not all hope is lost, and we can do so much to naturally boost our innate immune system so that we can get through the winter season and the holidays feeling good, feeling healthy, and making the best out of this very cold situation. The first thing I preach is to take probiotics because 70% of your immune system is located in your gut. That makes it the largest barrier of defense against infection in your entire body. And most of this has to do with the microanatomy of your gut, but that microanatomy stays intact because of healthy gut bacteria, referred to as your gut microbiome or your gut biome. When your gut microbiome encounters a foreign invader, it triggers your immune system and increases populations of cells that seek and destroy those foreign invaders. Like we mentioned before, the body produces antibodies to the antigen or the foreign invader. One of the classes of those antibodies is called immunoglobulin A. Immunoglobulin A is found in your mucous membranes. If you remember earlier, we said that the virus, influenza specifically, gets into your body through your mucous membranes, so your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. So with those antibodies, the immunoglobulin A, lining your mucous membranes and your respiratory tract and also your digestive tract, it is the first line of defense against when you get hit with the flu. IgA will prevent the virus or the bacteria or whatever from even taking foothold in the first place. Now, this is just one very small example of the percolating effects of having a healthy gut microbiome. Having that is what triggered your immune system, which triggered IgA, which keeps the infection from seeding throughout your body. But there are similar consequences in 100 different ways, and that is how our body stays in healthy homeostasis. But my point is, it all starts with a healthy gut biome. My next suggestion is supplementing with vitamin D. Now, normally when people are sick, people recommend taking vitamin C, but the fact is, people usually get enough vitamin C from their diet. You don't actually need to supplement it. But vitamin D, especially in the winter months, is something that a lot of us are deficient in. Our largest source of vitamin D is the sun. And when it's cold outside, we're not outside as much, and so we're not absorbing vitamin D through the sun's rays. But that vitamin D is crucial in triggering our immune system. And when it is deficient, the killer cells of our immune system, called the T cells, don't jump to action as fast. They don't get up and go fight the infection as fast as they should. They're drained of energy, kind of like we are. So the recommended daily dose of vitamin D is 400 to 800 international units per day. But if you're deficient, you want to take more like 2,000 to 5,000 per day until you get your numbers up, and then you can go to your maintenance levels of 400, 800. As for vitamin C, its effects are largely dose dependent, and this is really important. There were trials that gave patients 1 gram of vitamin C per day, and they studied the duration and severity of their illness. But the effects they found were basically similar to the placebo. But then when they increased this dose to 6 grams per day, they saw a 17% improvement in the duration of symptoms and severity of symptoms. But to put this into context further, those chewables that you get of vitamin C from the drugstore, those are only 500 milligrams, 0.5 grams per day. That's not even half of the dose that was basically giving you a placebo-like effect. So it's not really going to do much for you. You'd have to eat a lot of those just to get to that 6 gram per day mark that had a significant improvement, but even that was only 17%. And say emergency, those sachets that you pour into water, those are usually 1,000 milligrams per day. That's just 1 gram per day of vitamin C. So you'd have to have 6 of those in order to even reach the 6 gram per day mark. And like we said, that was only a 17% improvement. So really at the end of the day, it's not worth it. You're getting enough vitamin C through so many sources in your diet, and it's just not a reliable symptomatic relief or preventative measure. And next is mushrooms, such an overlooked health food, especially the shiitake, maitake, and reishi mushrooms. Now, mushrooms contain beta-glucan. Beta-glucans boost your immunity and also protect your body from illness. But mushrooms also contain selenium. Selenium helps your white blood cells produce cytokines, which are crucial in getting rid of foreign invaders and illness. Deficiency can cause such a crippled immune system and at the same time can go undetected. But cases in which you might have selenium are if you have any chronic illness, you have a known immunodeficiency, you're elderly, or you take statins. Now, statins are a cholesterol-reducing agent, but they're also a selenium-reducing agent. So this can leave your immune system quite weak. You never want to stop your statin in order to get your selenium levels up, but you might want to just supplement with selenium. Always talk to your healthcare provider about what you've heard, what you've read as far as natural supplements, because sometimes these can interact with drugs, and you don't want that to happen. You don't want that drug to be more or less efficient because of a natural remedy that you've also added into your regime. So just talk to your healthcare provider, make sure you're making the right decision, and they will always advise you safely and accordingly. Next recommendation for you is elderberry. Elderberry is a top antiviral herb because these berries contain anthocyanidins, and these are immunostimulators. Research shows that taking elderberry extract within 24 to 48 hours since the onset of your symptoms is the most effective. But remember, elderberry, like I said, is an immunostimulant. So if you are, for whatever reason, taking a drug that's meant to subdue your immune system, say you've had an organ transplant or you have rheumatoid arthritis or eczema, psoriasis, all situations in which your immune system needs to be subdued because it is overactive or its activity is going to reject your organ, what have you, you don't want to take elderberry because it's just going to counteract those effects. In a situation where you want your immune system to be subdued, you don't want to take an immune stimulant. You know what I mean? Another great herb is Echinacea, and Echinacea is specifically wonderful for children, especially in those families that are trying to stay away from pharmaceutical medicine, right off the bat when your child gets ill. So Echinacea comes in normally a dropper format, and you just put a couple drops in your child's water and you give them that water every 4 or so hours, and it makes such a difference. If you want to take it yourself, the best way to do it is to put a few drops on your tongue and to hold it there for 5 to 10 minutes and do that once an hour for 3 hours, so 3 times in the morning until your symptoms subside. Really overall, you also want to do any lifestyle thing that loosens the mucus from your airways so that you can get rid of it. So instead of coughing it into your mouth and swallowing it back down or sniffing all day long, you want to get rid of it so you get rid of the virus or bacteria. This means take hot baths with eucalyptus, with peppermint oil, anything to open up your sinuses, your passages, your respiratory tract, everything. Eat spicy foods, put a lot of cayenne in your food, eat horseradish, mustard, whatever you choose. My favorite thing is apple cider vinegar. I drink it every single morning, and it really keeps your mucus runny so that it never forms a plug in your system. And I'm out of apple cider vinegar right now, and I have been under the weather, and it has been going on for way longer than necessary because I haven't been taking my apple cider vinegar. I know that the moment that I start taking it, I'm not going to feel as congested. Drink a lot of warm soups, broths, fresh juices, water. There's a reason why people say to stay hydrated, because having a fever, being ill can dehydrate you, and this leads to a whole host of issues you want to avoid. So the best way to feel healthy, especially when you don't have an appetite, is just to drink something nutritious at the very least. I have another suggestion, but I'm a little iffy about sharing it. It is an infrared sauna. So infrared saunas are not like regular saunas. Regular saunas increase your body temperature from the outside, while infrared saunas increase your core temperature without affecting your external body's temperature as much. So what this does is it kind of forces a fever on your body. But when you have a fever, like we were talking about earlier, that inflammation triggers your immune system to come and fight off whatever's causing that inflammation. So it's kind of forcibly triggering your immune system to jump to action. Infrared saunas increase your immunity just like exercise. So the increased temperature of your core will increase your blood flow throughout the body. And not only does this mean that nutrients are going to reach your organs faster and oxygen is going to reach your organs faster, helping diminish that exhaustive feeling that your body gets when you're ill, but at the same time, your immune system cells are going to be able to get to their target organs faster as well. And on the reverse side, because your blood flow has increased, your lymphatic drainage will also increase, which means that toxins will be eliminated faster. There are ways to practice this safely though, and this is why I'm a little iffy to recommend this. I have an infrared sauna bag at home. It's just for my use or my family's use, so I can keep it sanitary, and when I'm sick, I'm not exposing other people to germs. But if you're ill and you want to go outside to an IR sauna, I don't advise it so much because you should stay indoors as much as possible for your own sake and for other people's sake. If you're going to a public place, you're more likely to either pick up more germs or spread germs to other people. And B, you want to stay hydrated. Like I said, this forced fever can have detrimental effects if you are dehydrated, and you are already somewhat dehydrated because of being ill in the first place. So what you really want to do is make sure that you're hydrating yourself and be safe with your practice of saunas and hot baths and whatnot, because that dehydration can lead to detrimental effects like decreased blood pressure, increased heart rate, unnecessary strain on your organs, and in the worst case scenario, irreversible end organ damage. Just to wrap up, I also have some last minute flash tips. So first, buy a new toothbrush once you're over your illness. Toothbrushes can harbor a lot of bacteria and viruses, and you just want to get rid of it, start fresh once you're feeling better. If you have the flu, do not ask for antibiotics. Antibiotics, like the name says, is antibacterial. They will do nothing for a virus, and a lot of people get this confused and fight with family medicine doctors over the family medicine doctors not prescribing antibiotics, but it's because you don't need them. You have a virus, not a bacteria. If your child has a fever, whether it's flu related or not, never give them aspirin. Children with fevers and aspirin do not mix. You will put them at risk of developing something called Reyes syndrome. It's Reyes. You can look this up, but it is terrible. It is a scary side effect, and we want to avoid it at all costs. If you drink even occasionally, or for sure if you have liver disease, try and minimize or avoid altogether taking acetaminophen, which is in drugs like Tylenol, paracetamol, etc. If you are over 65 years of age, absolutely go to your doctor and get the flu vaccine. Everyone over the age of 65 is recommended to get that vaccine, because after that point, the effects of potentially getting the flu far outweigh the potential risks of getting the vaccine or the iffiness of whether the vaccine will work or not. The effects can be detrimental after that point, and we want to make sure that you're safe. So absolutely go and get the vaccine regardless of how excellent your preventative measures and your overall health is. So that is all. Those are my tips on how to improve your immunity, how to avoid the flu, and how to help you get through the holiday season without a glitch so you can enjoy it to the fullest. A lot of these are probably things that you've heard of before, but they really are effective. I don't want you to undervalue how well they work. I swear by them, and when I don't do these preventative measures, I get sick for sure. So give them a try. There's no harm in trying them as long as your healthcare provider agrees and you're not taking medicine that could potentially be counteracted by the herbs. So stay safe, cover your bases. I hope you have a beautiful last 2 months of the year and that you're in full health throughout them. And I will see you next time. Bye.